Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. This is the show that takes you on a journey of discovery, to give you the answers behind the questions, the how we got to those answers. I know it seemed kind of complicated, but it really isn't. I go through the community, find questions, give you the answers, but then explain how I got to those answers so that you can take those techniques and take them to your organization to be a more effective administrator developer. It's as simple as that. That's what I'm here to do for about the next hour and share with you. So let's get into it. This is Friday, June 21st, 2019, and thanks for joining me. If you are watching on YouTube, then let's get the YouTube URL up there. I invite you to subscribe so that you get additional content. There's much more to the community channel than just what I put on. Thank you very much for watching. But there's a ton of other stuff out there on all kinds of aspects of the Now platform. It's a lot of stuff. I can't even imagine. So go to the URL there. You see, click the subscribe button. Click the notifications so that you get the notifications, as is many people that are checking in now. Good morning, Basha. Good morning. I'm just going to go with Jody. I hope that's all right. Or Das. There's some of these names are long, and it's still 6 a.m. here. My brain is just getting started. So Shane, I can handle. Good morning. And Rajashakar, I believe we've seen you here as well before. Paulo, good to see you again. Thank you for showing up. A lot of these people checking in, and fast too. If you have your notifications on, we've got it. You should see something like that. So for whatever reason, Twitch didn't chime in yet, but I'm sure it will. But that's how it shows up on my phone. Good morning. Let's see who else. These days, Condition Builder, ServiceNow table, which view doesn't load in a small size laptop of 14-inch. Good morning, Madhu. Let me see if I can get to that one for you. I can't make any promises yet, but that's where we're headed. Hey, looks like the subtitles aren't cut off this morning. I just noticed that. Everything renders on YouTube on my end the way that I see it there. Hopefully it's working for you as well. We also do this. This video is also cross-posted back to and embedded in a community post moments after I finish up. I take all the articles that we've mentioned and linked to and commented in here, put them into a post so that you can go into the community and find the one that says video : Now Community live stream, today's date, and there's all the links. There's the embedded video. If there's any code, we'll have a link to the GitHub repo in there. It's as easy as that. Alrighty, please explain metrics on ServiceNow. You know what? I could give that a try. Don't let me forget. I got to get through the pre-roll yet. We also post this. You can use this as a backup plan, or some people watch this as their primary on Twitch over at twitch.tv/NowCommunity. So if for whatever reason, sometimes YouTube has hiccups and fits, video doesn't work, I've got a local copy that I will upload in place of the stream. But hey, you want to watch it right away, or you like Twitch, knock yourself out. We also stream over there. It's just only available for a couple of weeks on Twitch. So whereas YouTube has it all the time in the community live stream playlist, you'll find it there. But nothing wrong with Twitch either. Recommend you give it a try. If you've got a question, I know some people are chiming in here about metrics and some other stuff. Please make sure that you post those in the community. That's where you're going to get more expertise than just my humble self attempting to answer some of these questions. So if it's an explain kind of thing, I'll do my best to explain. You're going to get some varied opinions, and obviously for something that needs explanation, you might want to check the docs first, docs.servicenow.com. Metrics are explained there, but I will tell you about metrics and SLAs on this one as well. So look for that coming up. Since it's been brought up, we'll do our best at a live fire type of show. This is totally unscripted. I don't know where it's going to go. I appreciate the live interaction. It's funny because I was with a Phoenix podcast group last night, and one of the gentlemen there says he does a live stream at 6 a.m. also for completely different reasons. and loves that interaction, and so do I. Thank you very much for joining in the chat. If you happen to be around 1 p.m. UTC, you can figure out what time that is in your area because you all change your clocks and I don't. It's always 7 hours behind for me. Let's see. The condition builder issue, please let us know or check once from your side. If it happens on Google Chrome browser for 14, I don't have a 14-inch laptop. I apologize. I have a 15 and then I've got a few desktops. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to reproduce that. What you might want to try is reduce your font size. So sometimes that affects the rendering of some of these widgets. So community.servicenow.com is what we were on about. And if you are new to the community, see if I can get that. There we go. If you are new to the community and you post a question, please be sure use the right community area. If it's a question about reporting, performance analytics and reporting. If it's a question about security, there's a place for that as well. If it's a question about ITOM, you get the idea. So by placing it in those areas, you will get the proper audience that has the greatest chance of answering your question. And one question per post and one question only once. If you get in the wrong area, you can always delete it and start over. So somebody may say, this is probably a better developer question. Great. Tear it down, move it to the developer forum. You get better response there. The problem with having multiple questions in multiple places is nobody's really sure which thread to follow, and you don't know which one to mark correct. So you may have one mark correct and 4 others that are incorrect. And people go, well, isn't this the same question? What happened here? So don't blast things out to the community. It's just bad community etiquette, not just for ServiceNow, but for all online communities. These are general guidelines that you will find on any. Search first. That's my first pickup is search and see if somebody has asked this question or something similar in the past and read through those threads. Learn how the ebb and flow goes on the community before jumping in. Again, general good community etiquette best practices. If you have been on the community for a while, why not take some of these general questions and consider making a video, consider making a blog post, consider sharing this information out wider. It pays dividends. Every time someone marks an article helpful, you get another 10 points. So, hey, why not participate in that gamification thing like I do, and you'll get yourself some online credit. I think Stephen Bell is up to something like 150 blog posts. Crazy. I don't count because every day I do one of those with these videos, it goes into a blog post. So in a sense, you could say I'm building blog content. All right. Onward and upward. The developer portal over here at developer.servicenow.com. That's not it. That's it. Got my tabs out of order this morning. So developer.servicenow.com, the developer program is available there. You can get yourself exactly what it says on the screen. A free personal developer instance running one of the latest 3 releases. Very handy. Use this as a sandbox. Use it as a test ground. You want to learn more about metrics? This is a great place to do it. Go register, get yourself a free personal developer instance, and try them out before you get into your organization's dev environment and potentially mess with other developers, which is always fun. Free learning plans. You can get a lot of information. I was amazed. I went through and looked at the learning plans yesterday. Wow, there is a lot of great content out there that I did not know about. There is an online citizens developer guide now. So if you are a no-coder and you want to get some of the people in your organization to do more development and offload some of the workload from your organization, consider that. It takes you through all the general concepts of planning and design and data. It's great. Really good stuff out there. Learning plans abound. The online and in-person events, such as live coding happy hour for an online video. We've got, I can't remember what the other one was, but it'll come to me later. The in-person events, developer meetups, which you can find over at meetup.com. We also have those under the events page right here, where it lists the upcoming month or so of events. So get together with like-minded people and talk about ServiceNow developer stuff. Online community, API documentation, server-side, client-side, REST APIs, early access. So New York is coming out in roughly a month. personal developer instances will have New York access. That's coming in Q3. General availability usually follows 4 to 6 weeks after that. So you will have early access to the New York release and the features that go with that and some of the plugins that you want to turn on. So we also have the share portal. I don't talk much about this one for whatever reason. It seems to escape under my radar, but it has been very good to me as well. There is share content available, people posting everything from clever snippets, service portal widgets, to full-blown applications and integrations. You can find that on the share menu. And you can also upload and contribute. There's nothing special about this. It's an open marketplace. So those are great resources. I mentioned meetup.com, over 16,000 people worldwide. Look for a chapter in your area so you can get together with those like-minded people and talk about ServiceNow developer stuff. If there isn't one in your area, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you get one organized and provide content. We've got a rich set of tools to help you manage that. It's a good time. I look forward to attending many more later this year. Let's put that URL up there so you can find that. Meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow Dev Program. Very easy to remember. Take a screenshot, write it down, or come back and visit. You'll get it. We've got a Phoenix developer meetup on June 27th, but for whatever reason, it's not showing up on the meetup page on the developer portal. We're looking into that. If we're suspect, it could be an integration issue. Not sure what's going on there. We also have other events over at servicenow.com/events.html, ServiceNow user groups. I've got a ServiceNow user group coming up very soon. It's either end of August or end of July or mid-August in Wisconsin. So if you're in the Wisconsin area, I'd love to see you at the Wisconsin Snug. Going to be talking about builder program, developer program, community, 3 areas that I feel very comfortable with and I want to share, very passionate about, want to share with you, the audience, to help you be more effective and get more value out of the investment you made in ServiceNow. So that's where I will be. Look for the date on that page. Hasn't been set yet. We're still locking in some resources. Some of these resources ought to be locked up. So if you're looking for other events, lots and lots of events, online webinars, and the Now at Work series this fall. It's kind of like a mini knowledge that will be happening at multiple sites around the world. Look for those. I may be at a few of those. I don't know my schedule yet, but I do have a personal conflict in October that's going to take me away from a couple. So still working out the schedule for September, October, November. But as those events come up, I'll let you know where I will be, so hopefully we can get together and take a selfie. That's what I look forward to. What else do we have? I don't remember what this screen is. Oh, we already did that. Knowledge. That's right. Speaking of knowledge, Knowledge 2019 is over, but I do want to mention that we do have the video library online over at knowledge.servicenow.com. You can find it there. And up in the corner is Video Library. There's also Watch 2019 videos down here in the lower left corner. Save the date, May 3rd through 7th in Orlando, Florida. So I hope to see you there for Knowledge 2020. It is only, you guessed it, I have my counter running here. It is only 317 days away. So look forward to seeing you at Knowledge. Again, all of the video content is on the video library page, which has lots and lots and lots of good information. If you want to know the part that I was involved with, I was on, day 3. There's day 1, day 2, I said view more. It was funny last night. We were doing check-ins for that podcast meetup, and we were scrolling through the check-ins on the organizer's meetup list. And I said, my name is Load More. And this is my wife, next page. Thought that was funny. I don't see where the rest of the day 2, day 3. Here we go. Day 3 platform. Wow, this is just loading a little bit at a time, isn't it? Day 2. Wow, I got a lot of videos out here. My goodness. The day 3 platform. Oh, I see. They took the full video and broke it down to its components. So I was involved with organizing some of the demos involved with day 3. So if you want to have fun with that, I think my most creative moment was at the very end when Sandy Tartle from OptumRx stepped off stage and her exit was an audio cue. And I took some of the creativity that I do from podcasting. I said, wouldn't it be fun if? And you'll have to watch the video to find that out. So all the knowledge videos are out there. I'm particularly proud of day 3 because that's the reason I wasn't doing this video for most of March, April, and the first part of May leading up to knowledge is I didn't have the bandwidth left after the effort it took to get the keynotes and everything else involved. So look for that and start planning for Knowledge 2020. Look forward to seeing you there. All right, this is turning into way too much commercial time. Let's get into, gotta tell you, there is a workshop coming. Where is my workshop screen? There it is. Tech Now, episode 64. Episode 64 is coming up on the 25th. That is this coming Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can also catch that a few days later. I will have that posted to the community. So you will have that on the community. You'll have that in the community YouTube channel. But if you want to attend live, the bit.ly link is right there. We're going to be talking about the email client. And I learned one more thing yesterday, thanks to the community. This is a never-ending journey. Somebody asked about the from addresses in script. And they pointed out the documentation was a little thin. I sent that off to the product managers and found some resources and provided the answer there. So now I can provide that information in the webinar so I don't get caught flat-footed by somebody saying, hey, what about this? Oh, I didn't look at that yet. But now I have and feel a little more educated. That's how we learn. We experiment, we share, we ask. So good morning, James. Checking in from the UK. We're going to need some... All right, one more before I reappear. The scripts that are written in today's episode will be available on GitHub. If there are any, they will be in a dated folder with today's date, 2019-06-21. Now you know the answer. Let's get going. Wow, that was the long intro. I apologize if that was a bit long, but I don't cover the community stuff, and we've got some new visuals for knowledge that I wanted to share with you as well. So some days we can get through this in about 6 minutes. Some days it takes 16 minutes. Now let's get started. That's why you came here. So let's reload the page. Metrics. Okay, before I forget, let's jot that down in my notes for today. We're going to start out with metrics. Since somebody asked in the chat, metrics, not Netflix. I can't type this morning. This is going to be a rough day. There's knowledge. Let's go to docs.servicenow.com where you find all the information on all the versions that we have out there. I'm going to go to Madrid since it's the latest and greatest, but metrics have been around for a very, very long time. Metrics and SLAs are related. I would think of metrics as a simplified version of SLAs. They simply measure what needs to get done. If you have a target of getting your P1 incidents closed in a certain amount of time, and you say, how long are these taking? You simply want to measure them. Metrics are a good way to do that. If you want to put a workflow against that and maybe stop and start and whatever it is, not just measure open to close or open to resolved, but say, hey, when it's in the state of awaiting user info, I'm going to pause. That's where an SLA comes in. They're a little more complex. They give you a little more flexibility. You can still measure your SLAs, but for purely measuring things like KPIs, metrics are an easy implementation to do that. And you do those underneath, I believe it's system definition metrics. No, it's metrics. Metrics has its own menu, and you have definitions. And they come up like this. So you specify a table. I want to go to global so that these are a little more readable in their conditions. And metric out of the box, 00007, is a field duration, or you can also do this by script calculation. I don't claim to know what this script is calculating, but we're going to go with field definition. On the active table, on the incident table, watch the active field. There's a special case that closes out and other metrics when the active... Okay, so this one actually does run a script that says, hey, if the active field goes to false, then we're going to close the other metric. So I kind of jumped in. I didn't practice this demo. Let's go to Incident state duration. How long is it in a given state? So here we are watching the incident state field. We're to watch a timeline, and there is no script. It simply measures it, and you can tell where it's been used by the related list down here. Now, if you go into one of these records and you put the related list on, you can see what metrics are on there. So here's incident 14. I currently do not have the metrics related list, but if I say configure related lists, I can put those on. Metrics, bing, put that in, and I will see the metrics that have been enacted against this particular. Now, you may choose to do this. Maybe you choose to do this on an admin view. This one's got 2 of them. Create to resolve duration is calculation complete. It took 90 days, 43 minutes. You can now do a report on these metrics and say, show me all the records, tell me what the duration was, what's the average, what's the min, what's the max, that kind of thing that reporting does oh so well. Incident state duration, value is currently closed, calculation complete is done. So I haven't implemented many of these in the past. I know of them, I know what they're for, and they're pretty simple. Follow the directions in the documentation. You should have a good handle on what they are. Practice with them, play with them, maybe get a personal developer instance and test them out. I'd say, all right, I'm going to leave this one record in the state of open for 15 minutes. Let's build a metric against that to see if I can measure that. Now change it to work in progress. Do I have or need a metric? You don't necessarily need a metric definition for every possible scenario, only the ones you want to measure. So don't go overboard. Find out what it is you want to measure, what do you want to report on, and then measure that. It makes your job a lot easier for implementation and for maintenance. Hope that was clear. Metrics, good. Let's move on. Yes, next knowledge dates are published. Whew. All right. Calm, peace of mind. We're about to go into the maelstrom. I'm going to do a quick refresh because I was explaining something and new stuff may have come in. And in fact, it did. Let's do anything that's unreplied. I generally look for things that I can contribute to that will make good content for you. So if I'm skipping over something, it may be because it's extremely long, involved, or it's not in my wheelhouse. I don't have the expertise to do an effective contribution on that. It's not that I don't like you, but my expertise is on the platform, custom applications, and integrations. That's where I can help out the most. Scripting, yes. A lot of the platform features, yes. Some of the more succinct intricacies of customer service management, no. So that's it. That's how this show format goes. I would love it if another one of my colleagues or someone in the community did something similar for one of those specialized areas. Maybe there's an ITOM live stream just waiting to happen. Who knows? Send survey to assignment group instead of user. How do you know? Well, you know from the survey what record it's against, right? I'm trying to send a particular survey to an assignment group. This feels like something that's come up in the community before. I am going to, also is it possible without having to configure the user field on the trigger conditions? I'm not real knowledgeable on surveys. So let's look at, see if we can find the data that goes behind this. The first question I have is, are they using the new surveys for attestations and assessments and surveys? With the let's see, ready to take in progress. Let's look at something that's in progress. Nothing. Let's look at something that's completed. Probably nothing. Come on. Click. There we are. So service satisfaction survey. Does it have the record that's against it? And if I look at personalized list, actually I want to see configure list. Configure list layout. That will tell me if there's a reference field. So we have assignment group. Let's throw those on there just to see what happens. And they're asking for notification. Yes. Trying to send a particular survey to an assignment group instead of the user. You should be able to define that though. These generally go to the user. So let's take, I don't know if there's a template in here. No, those are the different kinds of measurements. Survey designer. Because somewhere you have to say this is going to the caller ID or this is going to the requested for, that kind of thing. So questions, categories, configuration. It goes to return URL, signature, source table. If I said incident in here, I'm in the survey designer. Somewhere you would think there is a availability to specific users, add recipient list, add group users. Can't put that in there. So service desk is not available. No matches found. Survey groups only, don't put that in. Let's try this. And then add users. No, we don't need that. So in the survey, availability. Oh, it just popped in the users. So do you check those people? Nope. Nope. Let's uncheck them and put that back in. Service desk pops those 3 in. That doesn't feel dynamic to me. We want it from the data. Because when you do availability and you say anyone, where do you build the recipient? Because this doesn't even say caller ID. How do you know where it goes to? Anybody in the live chat done surveys before? You might be able to contribute. To the question, bank, template, survey responses, ready to take, in progress, canceled, administration, recipient list. Aha, maybe this is it. Somewhere in here you say name, new, method, upload Excel file. We're on the docs. Let's just look. Survey, recipient, add recipients list to survey, configure survey. Let's see. We can use trigger conditions basically. Add recipient. So the trigger conditions got to be survey admin, view surveys from platform, from survey designer. The send invitations UI action is available when there is at least one recipient list. If a user is available, survey users related list and multiple recipients list. Where are the trigger conditions? Is that what it is? Survey trigger. That might be where we're going. We're all learning at this point. Survey management, trigger condition example. I don't even know if that's related to a survey or not. But if we're close, it'll get us there. Trigger condition is assessment server test survey table. Yes, that looks right. So trigger condition is configured as follows. Assessment, service test satisfaction survey. You can send an auto-triggered survey when an incident is closed or resolved. So how would you do that? Go to where? It doesn't tell me where to start. So let's look for assessments trigger conditions. Ta-da! Or survey trigger conditions. Looks like the same table. Here's incident. Who does it go to? Related field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Condition state is closed. User field. Okay, so it doesn't look like there is a way to do this because it only references sysuser. So you would have to, what? There's no way to script that in here. I'm not seeing it. Where can we send the surveys to the assigned person? That one would be change the trigger condition to assigned to. So that would work. But I don't see a way to do this for a group. And I don't... I thought I saw a demo at one point where they did a group survey. But I could be wrong. So underneath assessments trigger condition or survey trigger conditions, change your user field and you can configure the user field. But I'm going to see if I can ask that. Auto assessment business rule is the business rule that triggers that, which is fine. We don't want to mess with that. But, and trigger randomly lets you do a probability. Yeah, I've seen that before. Repeat every 30 days so you don't get one on every close. It's kind of like when you get your out of office notifications, you only get that once a week. So that's what I know about surveys at this point. Okay, I don't see a way to do this in the trigger conditions. And let's put a link since we're already there. Always nice to include links when you're dealing with a web page. Paste that there, do that. The field only points to user records. Not the answer we want, but it is an answer, and it's the first one of the day, I think. We talked about metrics. I guess, was that an answer? Let's go get another workflow script to populate task fields. This one's probably already been jumped on while we were talking about the other one. Nope. Okay, I'm creating a catalog request item that contains two variables that are behaving badly. I'm trying to set the corresponding task fields to the variable values by checking the advanced box in the workflow task and using these lines. Okay, which activity do we use? Trying to set the corresponding task fields. Task.assigned to is current variable supervisor. Task.due date is separation due date. Supervisor variable on the request form is populated in the client script/script include, but it's coming up blank in the task record. If I replace supervisor with requested for another variable, it is entered directly into the form. The script works fine. I tried adding a 5-second timer before the task, but that did not help. The due date is getting populated, but with the value 1 day prior to the separation date and includes the time 2000. Really just wanted the actual date entered in the form. The variable is of type date. Okay, the due date is a date time, if I'm not mistaken. I've been searching for the community of various solutions, but I'm stuck. Okay, first we got to make sure the variables match. Is the supervisor a reference to the same record? Is your supervisor variable a reference variable to sysuser? Got to be pointing to the same thing, otherwise this isn't going to work. And they were sticking this in assigned to. Interesting. Second, I don't think the reference qualifier will make a difference because you're not picking it from a list. So you can stick any value in there. What else could be the issue? As for the due date, that's a date time field. So it's always going to show the time on it. You are likely seeing a time zone offset. If you have a time zone difference, it's easy to figure out because you'll say, hey, I put this in as, it's coming up 1 day before, it's subtracting some hours. Sounds like they're having a time zone difference. So we need to, try setting the due date like this. And into a little script, this is where display values and true values get a little crazy. Task dot due date dot set value or set display value of their whatever. I can't remember what that other field was. What was that other field? Separation date. Variables dot separation date. Hardest part about this is remembering what other people's code looks like. Current dot variables dot separation date. Try that. That sets the display value. When dealing, that may take the offset away. I don't know. So here's the thing about dates and times. I want to just back up a little bit. Do I still have my script editor here? I don't. So let's bring up the script editor. Time to write a little script to do a demonstration when dealing with dates and times. Let's put that away. Var glide date time equals new glide date time. And this script editor likes to substitute something else. If I do gs dot, oh, it's not doing it today. Interesting. Good. If I do that, let's see what we get in scripts background. So scripts background, leave, paste, done. It goes, here you are, it's 1335. It is reporting UTC because I did a get value on that. If this were a field on a record, a due date field, an opened at field, whatever it is that's got a glide date and time in it, if I just say, show me the value of that, all values are stored internally in the database in UTC. So in order to get it to my time on this instance, on my profile, I would add get display value. Okay? I'm going to make that a little bigger for you so you can see it. There we are. And run that. Now it says, yep, Chuck, it's 6:36 a.m. And sure enough, it is for me. When you get a field, if you start mismatching these and you've got a glide record going in, let's go get an incident. Get random incident. And we say var inc gr equals new glide record. Come on, glide record, incident table. Wow, the fingers are really letting me down. And I just say inc gr.query if inc gr.next. Let's do this little block and say gs.info inc gr.getValue sys updated on. I believe that's the field name, yes? Should we check? Let's just view that. I'm either going to get it horribly right or horribly wrong. Okay. So it's getting the UTC. Get value does that. If I'm dealing with get value and I want to save that somewhere else, it's important that I always stick with that value, because if I'd started doing something like inc gr.setDisplayValue or inc gr.duedate.setDisplayValue, then I've just introduced a time zone offset where one didn't exist before. And I said, set that to inc gr.getValue sys updated on. This would set the due date. Theoretically, I want to set the due date to the last updated date for whatever reason. Doesn't make much sense here, but you get the idea that I'm taking a get value, which is UTC, and setting it in here. Well, it's going to set that and say, okay, it's set to, for instance, right now, I would expect it to be a time zone offset. Then it undoes that time zone offset and reintroduces it. My due date and my updated date would be, for me, 7 hours apart. So that doesn't make sense. Why would I indeed want to do that? When you're dealing with get value, then you use set value. When you're dealing with get display value, okay, I would potentially do it this way. This is because I don't believe get display value takes an argument. And say, get me the Arizona time. Then, of course, I want to set it in Arizona time. Keep them alike, and you will reduce your time zone offset problems. On the server side, none of this is applicable to client-side coding for client scripts or UI policies or UI, never mind. It's only applicable to server-side code. So that is your greatest weapon in understanding time zone offsets. So I'm going to put a comment in here so when people find it in 2,000 years in GitHub. When using getDisplayValue to retrieve, also use getDisplayValue to set. And same kind of thing. Same thing for getValue. Keep them the same to avoid offset issues. Save that. I know there's no inkgr.update. No, don't worry about it. Let's go back to this, and I will get that committed in just a sec. It is the 21st. We make our folder tzoffset.js. Ta-da! Save it. Should get nice colors. Yay! Nice colors. Okay, what else do we have? That's the kind of discussion you get out of this community if you haven't joined before. You can find these other videos on the YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, search for ServiceNow Community. You'll find this channel. Community live stream videos are there. I know some people are joining for the first time. Thank you very much for watching. There's a ton of these. I've been doing this for almost 2 years. Although I think the playlist only goes back to last May when we rebranded. The old other videos are still out there, the old black ones. We're just going to leave them alone for now. Let's see. Workflow scripting, populate fields. Did we get a response on this already? We got 5 things in the inbox. I'm barely going to get through this show. Whew. It's going fast today. It's 20 minutes to the hour. That's our catalog request. We have a couple of replies. Where are they? Where are they? Thanks, Chuck. Yes, the supervisor references a sysuser table. Okay, so let's make sure. Then just to be certain, I'd throw in a log statement to validate the value as it gets populated. You said that the supervisor is in there, but when we change to request it for it, doesn't work fine. Do this. GS info. I wish that would default to JavaScript. I really do. Supervisor equals GS, excuse me, current dot variables dot supervisor. It could be, I just thought of this. Let's do this. I also just thought of this. It could be that we need to get the value out of there. Value converted to a string. Sometimes weird stuff happens when you're dealing with different objects, variables, and fields. Try this too. Because this may actually print the right thing. Not sure when dealing with dotted notation. I always get nervous when I do that. Task.assigned to. Assigned to equals current.variables.supervisor.toString. I don't use toString too much, but it's a nice way to verify you're not copying over an object. You're copying the value of that object when you don't have a getter and setter. And as far as I know, there's no get value on a variable. I haven't checked lately. All right, keep that discussion going along. I noticed it percolated to the top of the list. When you're in the activity section, it gets to the top of the list when you have a recent response. Let's keep going. Confusion gets intense when the user's time zone is not set properly in the user records as yes. It gets a little messy. Time zones are one of those really tricky things. Query on next hop routing. That's ITOM, I'm not going to go there. How to remove duplicates from asset table. I would deactivate one of them. Let's find out. How can I look at 2 fields that I am coalescing off of, location and asset tag, to return duplicates or merge them together? Below is the script I was hoping to use. Glide aggregate, add query, add count on value. This is where it gets interesting. That is a good... This looks really familiar to something I saw just the other day. Somebody's looking for duplicate SLAs. I'm going to follow that one. I don't want to get too deep into that right now, so I'm going to subscribe to it and see what comes out of that. Flow Designer approvals and logic issues. Flow Designer. We did Flow Designer, a lot of Flow Designer on Monday. I'm trying to automate an ITIL user to assignment groups from the catalog item. Recently, Chuck put on a video touching on this, but I'm trying at... I've been mentioned on my own video. Recently, Chuck put out a video touching on this, but I'm trying to add additional logic and having some issues. I would like that if the requester is not the group's manager, that it should go to the group's manager for approval. If it's not the group's manager, then it should go to the group's manager for approval. If the requester is the group's manager, it should automatically approve, and the person to that group closes the ticket. Currently, the only part working is when someone who is not the group's manager opens the ticket. It works, and the process is request like. If the group's manager opens the ticket, it gets stuck like it's not the manager. The screenshot where it gets stuck, do we have a flow? Let's get that. Oh, I thought these were opening. I thought these were opening as they should. There we go. They are opening. Okay, so here's the flow. Let's make that as big as we can. Whee! And let's go through this. So trigger on service catalog, get the catalog variables. If the requested for is not group manager, I'd like to see the details on that. What group are we talking about? Then ask for approval. Else, add user to group. Update requested for. So if the requested for is not the group manager, then you ask for approval. Otherwise, you drop down here and just update the record. So if the manager is updating the group, don't ask for approval. I get the idea. I'd like to see the details on that if statement. So in here, we have the operational settings. Make that a little bigger so we can see more of it. And it says requested for equals one group manager. What was one group manager? Did I accidentally close that other one? Darn it. I see I don't see the data pills here either. Okay. More questions abound than answers. Okay. Oh, because they picked the group. The group is one of the variables on the catalog item. I wonder, can you dot walk to that, or do you need to get the group? It's a reference field. I don't know. They did get group manager. So yeah, apparently it is an actual group record. Might help to log. Might help to put a log statement just before the if to compare the values you think you are getting. Display the requested for and the, because they didn't give me the actual values. SysID 31, oh, it does. Okay, never mind, you don't need the log statement. The operational view does in fact show AA69 blah 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 61931 AA69 61. I always check the first few and the last few because I've noted that if you're just checking the last 4, 5, 6 digits, it could be, you know, one starts out AA69 and the other one starts out EE24. And you're like, well, these look like the same ID, but if you don't look at the first part, it gets a little weird. So it evaluated to false. If this equals that, that certainly looks like it equals. So, and the other one says, if requested for is not group manager. Huh. And then it asks for approval. These are not comparing. That is bizarre. So we've got the values, so I don't need that statement. What else could be going on? What else could be going on with the flow if that is not comparing properly? It allowed you to do the data pill picker, so it knows that they're the same type. Otherwise, it wouldn't allow you to put, say, a string field into a reference field on the flow. How about a log statement afterwards? How about a log statement after the if statement to verify? I know this is going to come back. They match the values of requested, for, and group.manager. Something is odd here. That the flow designer operational view, make that a little bigger. Flow designer operational view is telling you that the values match. I just like to see what is actually going on at all times. We are somehow back to 5 things in the inbox. This conversation just keeps going. Let's see what happens. Love the rapid response. Maybe we'll get the inbox cleared out. Workflow script to populate tasks. I think the toString did it. Task.do set display variable. Oh, this was the... okay. Got it. Show replies. We don't have a reply down here, but somewhere in there, we got it. So correct answer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Send survey to assignment group instead of user. We got a response to that one. We asked that earlier in the show. Hi, Chris, can you create a survey group and then add members to it? You can't do it with the type assignment group. You can create a survey group. Oh, okay. New information. Question is, where do you create that? However, you can add the group type survey to the assignment group you are after, then the survey designer assigned to the group. Good to know. Is there any way to do impact analysis for a script include? That was, I believe, Wednesday we did that one. And I said, yes, the global search should be able to do that if you're looking for it. They said, I'm using a script include. I want to modify it. How do I find out where it's being called from? The global search will let you do that in Studio. Just pick any application from Studio, it doesn't matter, and say, here's what I'm looking for. Check the box that says search in all applications, and you will search script includes, business rules, you name it. There's a big old pick list right here that you can choose from if you want to filter down to just that type of thing. There are some rare exceptions, corner cases that it doesn't get. I know that list has been expanded in the last couple of releases, so I don't know offhand what is missing, but you may find something like a server script from a service portal widget. Okay. Coding help with SLA on incident relationship. I believe we were looking for duplicates. That's the duplicate question, where we were looking for duplicates. Script to compare dates. We have more date comparisons. And I said, how about Flow Designer instead? So you see the date time values are pulled, but this should stop at this stage. The difference is greater than 15 minutes. Okay, we've been working on this. The integer 15 is not, in fact, greater than 15 minutes. You might need to put greater than or equal to. It's hard to see in this image. I can't make that bigger right now. I have to download the image. But it says 15 and 15. So my quick response is, it looks like the value is 15, which is not greater than 15. You may want to set your condition to greater than or equal to 15? Question mark? All right. In script, what that looks like, I moved the ball a little further downfield yesterday with that video series on JavaScript. So I've got all the inventory, all the descriptions ready to go. They're ready to import into Andrew and David's artifact manager so we can publish those videos. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll be able to get that information published to you, and we will have a series on learning JavaScript on the ServiceNow platform. Really looking forward to getting that published. So I have done everything I need to do. The GitHub repo's out there. The README is done. The links are up. The Bitly link is done. I just need to get the videos published to the developer channel. So in script, what it would look like is I equals 15, var count equals 15. And what they're trying to do in Flow Designer is effectively this. If I greater than count. Here, we'll put this. Max. Okay. I is greater than max. Come on, get back down here. Then gs.info, we've exceeded the max. Else, gs.info, still below max. Now you would think that if it's equal, I'm going to copy that, so it's going to go over here into another script for posterity, run that, and it says still below the max because we're checking for greater than. It's not greater than until this becomes 16. Okay, run that. And now we've exceeded the max. Anything equal to or below. If you wanted to compare equality, then you need to add an equals in here. We have exceeded the max. I would even change the word or met the max to put that in there. 16, 15, 1, I forgot a digit. Kind of makes a difference. 15 is 15, exceeded or met the max. So it really depends on what you want to compare. Are you looking to check for exceeding? And note that the equals goes on that side and not that side. This is not a valid expression. It goes, no, you better learn how to write these. Write them how you say them, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. That's why the equal goes on that side in JavaScript. Not so in all languages. If you wanted to compare for all three, you could do else if I less than max, and then you could also have, well, the only other option, you don't even need an if in this one, gs.info equals. Okay. So we've exceeded the max. Just a little bit of arithmetic expressions and checking and conditions. And so if it's greater than, we're going to say it's greater than. Let's make this even simpler. If it's below, we'll put below. Otherwise, you have no choice but equals. If you really, really wanted to be crazy, you could put in an equals and another else that says, I have no idea what's going on here. Okay. But for equality, there's only three cases, greater than, less than, or equals. So that is equals. Let's just verify this. This is less than. And that was interesting because what happens if you get invalid data? It goes, you don't know what you're doing. What if you put in a string? Well, here's something interesting that I found out. If you put in a string 15 and a max 15, watch this. It equals. Because they are effectively the same. If you want to check for true equality, that might be where you go if I triple equals max. That checks the value and the data type. Then I would put in an else that says gs.info. What the? Okay, have fun with that. That way you don't get that crazy, who put in a string? Come on, let's get serious. This one will actually prove equality, total equality, which is something we strive for in the human race. And there you are. Free script. Didn't expect to go that way. I'm looking forward to getting those videos out too. I'm sure there's a few rough spots in them. They were the first 20 or so and the second 20 or so were filmed apart, approximately 6 months apart. So if you notice the instance suddenly changes from London to Madrid, that's why. Okay. Everything else I tried to match as closely as possible, but I wasn't going to go back and finish the series on a London instance. I didn't have one. You'll also notice the instance ID changes from my old 20465 to the current one. Anyway, that is where I'm going to end it now. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for being part of the community and hanging out. If you find something helpful on this video, something you liked, something you found interesting, maybe even mildly entertaining, click the like button on YouTube to let other people know that it's there. If you're watching this through the community, click the helpful link so that other people know there is something helpful there. We can also add comments on either one. I appreciate it very much. Until next time, thanks for hanging out. If you learned something, share it, and you will be most helpful. Till next time, bye.